Victim identity, personality disorder, and the path to real healing. Okay, if accountability feels unsafe, this is why, you guys. Victim identity isn't weakness, it's a survival pattern. Healing doesn't require self-hate. You can take responsibility and still be safe. From survival to self-leadership, you guys. I help high-functioning trauma-informed adults move from victim identity into self-leadership through trauma-informed, faith-based emotional maturity and nervous system healing, you guys. So let's talk about something that's very uncomfortable, you guys, but definitely necessary. Not all victim behavior comes from innocence, you guys. Sometimes it comes from unhealed narcissistic injury. And if we don't name this clearly, people stay stuck, hurting themselves and everyone around them, you guys. Okay, so let's get into this today. Okay, what the victim identity really is. Okay, the victim identity is not the same as being a victim. No, it's not. Being a victim means something harmful happened to you. A victim identity forms when your nervous system organizes your entire sense of self around the injury. Powerlessness, hopelessness, helplessness, or just plain injustice. At that point, pain becomes personality. Accountability feels like attack, boundaries feel like abandonment, and feedback feels like emotional violence. This isn't manipulation, you guys, in the cartoon villain sense. It's a survival strategy that never evolved, you guys. Okay, so let's go further. How does narcissistic injury form? Okay, narcissistic injury happens early, often in childhood, when emotional needs were ignored, mocked, or punished. Love was conditional, safety dependent on performance, pleasing, or control. The nervous system adapted by saying, I will never let myself feel that powerless again. So the psyche builds armor, defensiveness, grandiosity, or plain helplessness, internalizing the blame, a deep intolerance for shame. Okay, this is where personality disorder comes in. Not a moral failure, guys, but a rigid survival structure. Okay, they are not about this. They're not about ego. They're about fear of psychological annihilation. Yes, annihilation, you guys. The victim role as a narcissist protection. Okay, all right, so let's get into it. Here's the hard truth, you guys. Most people avoid this. The victim role can become a narcissistic defense system, because if I'm always the one harmed, I never have to self-reflect on what I'm doing. I never have to feel shame about what I'm doing. I never have to face my impact. I stay on moral superior ground and emotionally untouchable. Yes, this is why conversations go in circles with these people. Repair never happens. Relationships feel exhausting and healing stalls indefinitely. Pain becomes currency and empathy becomes entitlement. Okay, why does validation alone not heal this? This is critical for you to know. Endless validation without accountability reinforces the wound. Why does that happen? Because the nervous system never learned emotional regulation, internal safety, self-responsibility, or relational repair. Instead, it learned my pain excuses my behavior. That's not healing, you guys. That's emotional stagnation disguised is as self-care. Okay, what does real healing actually require? Let me tell you what that requires. True healing of narcissistic injury is brutal, compassionate. Okay, it requires nervous system rewiring through passionately. Okay, you cannot shame someone out of survival mode. Healing begins with learning to tolerate the discomfort, the shame, the frustration, and the emotional feedback without collapse or rage, you guys. Okay, identity separation. This is really huge, you guys. You're not your trauma. Okay, hear that, learn that. Okay, you're not your story either. You're not your wound. Okay, as long as the injury is the identity, growth feels like death. for you. Okay, so let's get into radical self-accountability. Okay, not self-blame, not self-hatred. Okay, but the capacity, you guys, yes, the capacity to really look at yourself. Yes, I'm going to fully impact radical accountability on you in the same direct trauma-focused voice. And I'm going to spell it out in everyday language. So there's no room for misinterpretation of this anymore. This is the part most people avoid. Yeah, radical accountability. It's where healing actually costs you something. Yes, it's going to cost you something. You can drop this straight, okay? You can drop this straight in your spirit right now, you guys. Healing is going to, radical acceptance, radical accountability, it's going to cost you something, okay? All right. So check. Let's continue. Let's go further, okay? Let's go further. All right, radical self-accountability. All right, this is really how it's done. Let's slow this down, okay? Because this is where healing either becomes real or completely stalls out. Radical self-accountability, all right, is not beating yourself up. First of all, take responsibility for the abuse. Ignoring what happens to you, pretending pain doesn't matter, that doesn't work. That's not accountability. That's self-abandonment, okay? All right, radical self-accountability is something very different. What radical self-accountability actually means is radical self-accountability means that I can honor what happened to me and take responsibility for how I show up now. You see that? Okay. It means recognizing that trauma explains the behavior, but it does not excuse harm, and it does not remove responsibility for how you show up now. You can be wounded and accountable at the same time. That's emotional adulthood, you guys. Okay, why this feels so threatening to the nervous system? Let me tell you why. For someone with narcissistic injury or a strong victim identity, accountability doesn't feel neutral. It feels like humiliation, exposure, emotional danger, loss of control, or annihilation of self. Yes, so the nervous system reacts really fast. Instead of reflection, you see defensiveness in these people. Justification, blame shifting, minimizing the impact, and rewriting events. But because the person is, accountability feels like psychological death to a system that survived by avoiding shame. That's how this system survived. Yes, take that in. What radical self-accountability looks like in real life. Let's get into that. Let's make this practical, okay? Radical self-accountability sounds like, I see how my reactions escalated this. Reactions, okay? My pain is real and I still caused harm. Yes, I don't like this, okay? But I'm willing to sit with it. I don't need to defend myself to learn something. Yes, I can repair without erasing myself. Yes, this is not passive. It's not weakness. It takes more strength than blame ever will. Yes, it takes more strength, you guys. What it replaces, you guys, radical self-accountability replaces these survival habits. They made me act this way. If they hadn't done X, I wouldn't have reacted that way. You're focusing on the wrong thing. You don't understand my trauma. Why does no one care how I feel? That's what this is done. Instead of asking, who's wrong? You start asking, what's mine to own here? What's mine to earn here? Okay? All right. That question alone rewires the nervous system. Yes. Radical accountability, you guys. We got to do it. The difference between accountability and shame. Let's get into that. This is really crucial too. Shame says I'm bad. Accountability says I did something that didn't align with who I want to be. Yes, shame collapses the nervous system, you guys. No, we don't use shame. Accountability strengthens the nervous system. When people avoid accountability, it's usually because they confuse the two. Healing requires learning the difference. Okay, why does radical self-accountability heal narcissistic injury? Let me explain. Narcissistic injury is built on the belief, I am wrong, I am unsafe. Okay, radical self-accountability teaches the nervous system something very different, you guys. I can be wrong and still be safe. All right, worthy and connected. Yes, that's the absolute repair in this, you guys. That's how the personality softens instead of hardening. Yes, that's how it softens instead of hardening. What happens when someone refuses this step, you guys? Let's be honest. Without radical self-accountability, therapy becomes validation-seeking relationships. Okay, it becomes power struggles. It becomes apologies. Apologies become, conditional. Growth becomes, healing. Story. It's just a story, not the reality. Okay, the person can talk about healing, but they stay emotionally rigid. Yes, that's what happens there. Not recovery. That's adaptation with better language, you guys. What radical self-accountability requires daily. This is not a one-time insight, okay? You got to do it over and over. It's a practice you need to start to do, okay? So I'm going to be giving you more about this. I want to give you guys some tools, okay? It requires pausing before reacting, letting discomfort exist without escaping it, listening without interrupting, allowing feedback without counterattacking, repairing without justifying. And yes, it feels awful at first because growth feels like danger to a traumatized nervous system, someone traumatized by narcissistic abuse. Okay, the payoff is this. This is why it is so worth it, you guys. When radical self-accountability becomes possible, relationships stabilize, shame loses power, defensiveness decreases, emotional regulation increases, authentic connection becomes possible. You stop needing to be right to feel safe. You stop needing to be the victim to be seen. You stop protecting the wound and start protecting your life. Yes. Okay. So let's close this out, you guys. Okay. This has been awesome with you guys. Here's the truth. No one plainly says this enough, though. You cannot heal narcissistic injury while refusing accountability. And you cannot grow while protecting a victim identity. Okay. Radical self-accountability is not punishment. It's freedom, you guys. Freedom. Because when you can own your impact without collapsing, you finally stop living at the mercy of your past. Okay, you take accountability. I'm going to give you guys some tools, okay? All right, because you belong. They belong together, okay? Separating them is where people usually get stuck. I'm going to give you guys a guided self-reflection, nervous system safe exercise, okay? It's going to be in the store, in the sand store, and how to take accountability without self-hate. All right. I'm going to give you that script and I'm going to give you the guided exercises, the radical self-accountability without self-hate. All right, I'm gonna set this up for you. It's gonna be actually in the comments. Okay, before we begin, let's be clear, you guys. This exercise is not about blaming yourself, the things that I'm giving you. It's about minimizing what happened to you. It's not about minimizing what happened to you. It's not about forcing forgiveness or bypassing the pain either. Sorry. This is about learning how to take responsibility without collapsing, attacking yourself, or becoming defensive, okay? If accountability feels terrifying, that's not a character flaw, okay? That's a nervous system that learned early on that being wrong wasn't safe. So we're going to go slow, you guys. We're just going to go slow, okay? All right, I want you guys to really take this in, okay? Step 1, regulate before you reflect. That's number 1. Accountability without regulation turns into shame. So we start with the body, okay? Then we pause for a minute. We take one slow breath in through your nose. Exhale slowly through your mouth. Say to yourself, I am safe enough to look honestly at myself. Not perfect, not calm, just enough. Yeah, just enough, okay? That's all we need, you guys. That is all we need, okay? Step 2, separate the event from your identity. Keep that in mind. Separate the event from your identity, okay? Bring to mind a recent situation where you felt hurt, triggered, or reactive, a conflict didn't resolve, or someone gave you feedback that stuck with you, okay? Kind of hurt you or something. Now say this silently, or you can say it out loud. Something happened to me, and that is real. How I react is not the same as who I am. Okay, take that in. This step matters, you guys, more than people realize, okay? It matters so much, okay? If you skip this, your nervous system will hear, I'm bad. You don't want your nervous system to hear that. It will shut the whole process down. We don't want that, okay? All right? So that's why I have to teach you exact wording as to what you need to say to your nervous system. Name the feeling without defending it. You get that? You name it without defending it. Ask yourself gently and honestly, what did I feel in my body? Was it anger, fear, panic, shame, rejection, helplessness, hopelessness? Where did I feel it? Do not explain it. Do not justify it. Do not attach any story to it. Just simply name it, you guys. All right, this teaches your nervous system something really, really important. I can feel something without needing to act it out. Okay, that is true regulation that I'm talking about here. All right, identify the reaction, not the story, you guys. Okay, now ask, what did I do or say in response to that feeling? Did I shut down? Did I lash out? Did I over-explain? Did I get defensive in any kind of way? Did I withdraw? Did I blame? Ask yourself those questions. All right, this is really powerful, you guys. This is not about judging yourself. It's about simply observing yourself in the moment. All right, think of it like watching a replay or not prosecuting yourself. Definitely not prosecuting yourself. Okay, just watching a replay. Okay, all right. The radical accountability question. This is the heart of this work, you guys. Okay, so you're gonna download it. Okay, don't forget the worksheet. Ask yourself, what part of this is mine to own? Even my pain is valid. Not who started it, who was wrong, worse. Don't do that. Who hurt who more? Don't do that. Okay. This is radical accountability, you guys. Where did I escalate? Where did I avoid? Where did I make this about survival instead of repair? Okay. We do that a lot. This is where narcissistic injury either softens or it tightens, depending on how you deal with it. I always say it's not what happens to you, but it's who you decide to become. Speak accountability without self-hate. Now practicing saying this out loud, okay? I understand why I reacted the way I did, and I take responsibility for how it landed. I don't need to punish myself to grow. No, you don't need to punish yourself to grow. This rewires the nervous system in real time, you guys. Absolute real time, okay? All right? You're going to be teaching yourself. Absolutely, you're teaching yourself now that accountability does not equal abandonment. No, it does not. Okay, so let's get into the repair language. Okay, if repair is appropriate, if this evolves another person, repair is possible. Here's what healthy relationships or accountability sounds like. I see how my reaction hurt you. I was triggered, but that doesn't excuse my behavior. I'm working on responding instead of reacting. You didn't deserve that. That's what you say to them. No explaining, no trauma dumping, no counterattacks. Just repair is not about being understood. It's about being responsible. That's what repair is about. Okay, so I love this. All right, this is a teaching moment. Why this is so hard for narcissistic injury. Let's name the deeper layer here. Okay, for narcissistic injury, accountability feels like exposure. It feels like loss of control. It feels like emotional nakedness or, like I said, annihilation of self. So the nervous system learns, if I admit fault, I disappear. This exercise teaches something radically different, you guys, okay? I can be seen imperfect and still be safe. That's the healing. It's the big kahuna here, all right? What this practice changes over time, you guys. When practiced consistently, radical self-accountability reduces defensiveness, increases emotional regulation, builds real self-trust, softens rigid personality patterns, restores relational safety, not because you become smaller, but because you become more integrated. Yes, all right? So let's go into the closing integration here. Let me say this plainly, you guys. You do not heal by protecting the wound. You heal by learning how to be accountable without becoming unsafe to yourself, okay? Radical self-accountability is not self-betrayal. It's self-leadership, okay? And the moment you say, I own this, I am still worthy at the same time. I own this, but I'm still worthy. Is the moment healing actually begins, okay? So let's be really clear about this, you guys. Something the church often gets wrong about this. Let's talk about that. Accountability is not condemnation, conviction, and shame. It's not the same thing, okay? Don't get it twisted. Shame says you are bad. Remember what I said before. Conviction says, when you have a conviction, this did not align with who you were created to be, who God created you to be. Scripture is full of accountability, but it is always paired with safety, restoration, and love. All right. There is now no condemnation for those who are in Christ Jesus. Romans 8:1. God does not expose to humiliate us. Okay. He reveals to heal. Yes. Why avoiding accountability is not biblical. It's not biblical, you guys, to avoid accountability. All right. Avoiding accountability is often framed as protecting ourselves. It is not, though. But biblically, avoiding responsibility keeps us stuck in the flesh. All right? Not safe, okay? All right? Search me, God, and know my heart. See if there is any offense way in me and lead me in the way everlasting. You know, in Psalm 139, 23 through 24, okay? So notice David doesn't deny harm. He doesn't self-attack, okay? He invites God into the awareness with him, into the wrong that he has done. That radical self-accountability without the self-hate. Okay? No self-hate, all right? No shaming. Jesus modeled accountability without shame. Jesus connected people constantly, but he never shamed identity. To the woman caught in adultery, he said, neither do I condemn you. Go and sin no more. Okay? John 8:11, excuse me. All right? Translation, you're not condemned and your behavior still matters. Okay? It still matters. That is the balance. Narcissistic injury never learned. That's the balance. You got to have that balance. Okay? All right? What radical self-accountability looks like spiritually. Radical self-accountability says, Lord, show me what is mine to own without crushing my spirit. It requires humility, not humiliation. Difference, okay? God opposes the proud, but gives grace to the humble. No pride, okay? James 4:6. Humility is not self-hatred. Humility is truth without armor, you guys, okay? So, I want you guys to go to the sand store. I want you to get the download, okay? I believe we're going to put that up there, all right, for you to get. And if you've done years of healing, but you still feel reactive, defensive, misunderstood, or stuck replaying the same emotional patterns in relationships that you really want to have, this is for you, okay? And no, it doesn't mean you're broken. It means your nervous system learned that accountability wasn't safe. That's what your nervous system learned. That's why you did this. Accountability wasn't safe for you, okay? So, all right, so that's why we have to name the real problem, you guys. Many people are living in what's called victim identity, not because they want to, but because at some point, staying hurt felt safer than being honest. Staying hurt felt safer than being honest. Take that in. Okay, so now feedback feels like an attack. Boundaries feel like rejection. Accountability feels like shame, and healing feels stuck. Okay, you may understand your trauma intellectually, but your body still reacts like you're in danger still. Okay, so we gotta have some solutions for this problem. Okay, all right. I hope you guys enjoy this. All right, and I hope you guys get the worksheet: radical self accountability without self hate. All right. All right, not by blaming you, not by minimizing what happened to you, and not by forcing forgiveness or positivity. Okay? You don't have to force that. But by teaching your nervous system and your spirit that you can take accountability without abandoning yourself. This is how you move. This is how you move. This is how you move, right? All right? Survival to self-leadership. Reactivity to regulation. All right, victim identity to emotional maturity, okay? With God, truth, and safety at the center of this. All right, you guys. So I really appreciate you guys joining me. If you're ready to stop protecting the wound and start leading yourself with clarity, humility, and peace, all right, download the fully fillable trauma faith-based worksheet below, okay, you guys? All right. This isn't surface healing, you guys. All right. This is the turning point. All right. This is the turning point in your life. All right. So click below. Your next level of freedom starts here. Okay. And thank you guys for joining me. Okay. All right. Bye-bye.